Even though BHS was out for Christmas break, the Tiger teams managed to play some basketball at the NCMC Holiday Hoops Tournament. The girls played first against Brunswick. The Lady Tigers fell behind early and trailed 30-16 at halftime. Brashear only managed 2 points in the second half and lost by a score of 54-18. Aubrey Borgmeyer had 4 points for Brashear, Cassidy Altide had 3, Taylor Garlock had 3, Bevan March had 2 points, Heidi Lay had 2, Paige Stutzman had 2, and Marissa McMahon also had 2 points. The boys' game followed, also against Brunswick. The game was close the whole way, but Brunswick always managed to stay a few points ahead as Brashear went down to defeat 60-51. Cole Irvin scored 20 points for Brashear, Carson Irwin had 16, Avery Zentz had 6, Dayton White had 4, Jack Reeves had 3, and Lucas Keller scored 2 points. Brashear kicked off the 2023 portion of their basketball season with a road trip to Marion County. Points were hard to come by in the early going, but Brashear led 8-7 after one quarter and had built a 19-11 lead by halftime. Marion County kept the game close, but the Lady Tigers held on for a 38-29 win. Lacey Fisher had 11 points for Brashear, Taylor Garlock scored 8, Cassidy Altide had 6, Aubrey Borgmeyer had 6, Paige Stutzman had 5, and Maddie Moots had 2 points. In the boys' game, Marion County looked to be in control as they surged ahead to a 15-9 first quarter lead, but the Tigers used a strong second quarter to lead 23-20 at halftime. Despite several second-half runs by Marion County, Brashear was able to keep the lead and won by a score of 62-57. Jack Reeves scored 19 for Brashear, Cole Irvin had 16, Lucas Keller had 9, Avery Zentz had 9, Carson Irwin had 7, and Landon Fisher had 2 points. The Lady Tigers faced the homeschool North Missouri Knights Thursday. The Knights got off to a hot start and were up 12-9 after one quarter and 21-19 at halftime. By the end of the third quarter, Brashear had taken a 29-26 lead on their way to a 40-34 victory. Lacey Fisher had 24 points for Brashear, Paige Stutzman scored 10, Aubrey Borgmeyer had 3, Maddie Moots had 2, and Taylor Garlock had 1 point. The boys' game with the Knights was back and forth in the first half, with a buzzer-beater three-point shot giving the Knights a 37-34 halftime lead. The Knights started the second half strong, but Brashear battled back to take the lead and post a win 74-66. Carson Irwin scored 35 points, Cole Irwin had 16, Lucas Keller had 11, Avery Zentz had 6, Landon Fisher had 4, and Alex Allen had 2 points. The Lady Tigers drew the 8th seed and played top-seeded Brookfield in the first round of the Milan Tournament Tuesday. The game was close from the very start as the two teams battled to a 23-23 tie at halftime. The game stayed close in the second half and was tied with under a minute left to play. Brookfield managed to score in the final minute to take a 46-45 lead for the win. Lacey Fisher had 21 points for Brashear, Aubrey Borgmeyer had 10, Taylor Garlock had 8, Maddie Moots had 4, and Paige Stutzman had 2 points. The Brashear boys also faced Brookfield in their opening round of the Milan Tournament Tuesday. The Tigers got off to a fast start and had run up a 31-18 lead by halftime. During the second half, Brookfield started chipping away at the Tiger lead and pulled within 4 points in the final quarter. Brashear responded in the final minutes and pulled away again, for a 53-42 win. Carson Irwin had 20 points for Brashear. Jack Reeves had 11, Cole Irwin had 10, Avery Zentz had 5, Lucas Keller had 4, and Dayton White had 3 points. The Lady Tigers faced Putnam County Thursday in the Milan tournament. Brashear struggled offensively the whole game while Putnam County scored early and often. Brashear trailed 29-11 at the halfway mark and eventually fell by a score of 49-19. Aubrey Borgmeyer had 10 points for Brashear. Cassidy Altide had 3, Lacey Fisher had 3, Marissa McMahon had 2, and Heidi Lay scored 1 point. The Brashear boys faced Milan Thursday for a chance to advance to the Milan Tournament Championship game. The game was very close in the early going, but Milan went on a run to close out the first half with a 28-16 lead. Brashear started to close the gap in the second half and tied the game early in the fourth quarter, but Milan regained the lead for a 59-45 win. Jack Reeves had 16 points, Carson Irwin had 14, Lucas Keller had 7, Avery Zentz had 4, and Landon Fisher had 4 points. The Lady Tigers were in action Saturday at the Milan tournament against the North Missouri Knights in the 7th place game. Brashear fell behind 19-4 in the first quarter and had closed the gap slightly to 28-16 at the half. Brashear couldn't make up the difference in the second half and fell by a score of 50-36. Lacey Fisher had 13, Paige Stutzman had 9, Heidi Lay had 6, Taylor Garlock had 4, Cassidy Altide had 2, and Aubrey Borgmeyer had 2 points. The Brashear boys faced Putnam County Saturday in the 3rd place game at the Milan tournament. Brashear stayed close at the beginning of the game, but Putnam County had taken a 41-26 lead by halftime. The second half belonged to Putnam County as they ran away with an 81-37 win. Jack Reeves had 15 points for Brashear, Carson Irwin had 8, Lucas Keller had 6, Dayton White had 4, Cole Irwin had 2, and Landon Fisher had 2 points. Tuesday night was senior night at BHS. Between the girls and boys games, each BHS senior and their family were introduced to the crowd. The Brashear Lady Tigers played host to BMC Tuesday. Brashear was able to establish an early lead and were up 19-11 by halftime. Brashear continued to maintain their lead in the second half and won by a score of 34-24. Lacey Fisher had 18, Heidi Lay had 5, Aubrey Borgmeyer had 4, Paige Stutzman had 4, Cassidy Altide had 2, and Maddie Moots had 1 point. The Tigers made a good showing Tuesday night as they played BMC for senior night. Brashear had built a 33-19 lead by halftime and never looked back as they went on to claim a 66-45 win. Carson Irwin had 21 points for Brashear, Lucas Keller had 15, Landon Fisher had 7, Alex Houghton had 6, Dayton White had 5, Jack Reeves had 4, Cole Irwin had 4, and Avery Zentz had 4 points. The Lady Tigers were at Bevier Thursday night. Brashear took a 14-4 lead after one quarter and had a comfortable 23-12 margin at halftime. Bevier never threatened in the second half, and Brashear rolled to a 47-18 win. Lacey Fisher had 15 points for Brashear, Heidi Lay had 11, Paige Stutzman had 9, Aubrey Borgmeyer had 6, and Taylor Garlock, Maddie Moots, and Marissa McMahon each had 2 points. In the boys' game Thursday, Bevere led 12-11 after one quarter, but Brashear had taken a 32-25 lead by halftime as they pulled away for a 63-40 win. Jack Reeves scored 22 points for Brashear, Lucas Keller had 12, Carson Irwin had 12, Avery Zentz had 7, Caden Taylor had 3, Cole Irwin had 2, Noah Shannon had 2, and Landon Fisher had 1 point. The Lady Tigers were on the road at North Shelby Monday. North Shelby jumped out to an early 23-2 lead after the first quarter and never looked back as they defeated Brashear 57-28. Lacey Fisher scored 18 points for Brashear, Aubrey Borgmeyer had 4, Paige Stutzman had 4, and Maddie Moots had 2 points. In the boys' game at North Shelby Monday, it was a close game in the first half, with Brashear trailing 31-27 at halftime. North Shelby got the upper hand in the third quarter, stretching their lead to 12 points, but Brashear hung around, eventually losing 57-49. Carson Irwin had 16 points for Brashear, Lucas Keller had 11, Avery Zentz had 6, Jack Reeves had 5, Cole Irwin had 5, Dayton White had 4, and Alex Houghton had 2 points. The Brashear girls hosted Green City Tuesday. Brashear managed to take an early lead and were up 21-18 at the half. Brashear still led 28-24 after 3 quarters, but Green City exploded for 24 points in the fourth to take the lead and a 48-41 win. Lacey Fisher had 15 for Brashear, Taylor Garlock had 9, Paige Stutzman had 9, and Heidi Lay scored 8 points. In the boys' game, Brashear had their work cut out for them as they hosted the number 3 ranked Green City Gophers Tuesday. Green City jumped out to a 30-9 lead after one quarter and never let up as they rolled to an 80-46 win. Carson Irwin had 21 for Brashear, Jack Reeves had 9, Cole Irwin scored 8, Dayton White had 6, and Avery Zentz had 2 points. Members of the BHS Literature class took a field trip Friday to Florida, Missouri to visit the Mark Twain Home and Museum. The freshman and sophomore classes were also on the road Wednesday as they traveled to St. Louis to visit the Kaplan Feldman Holocaust Museum. Congratulations to Lacey Fisher, who was honored by being named the KIRX Athlete of the Week. The Brashear girls faced Scotland County Friday. The Scotland County hosts held a slim margin and finished the first half leading 19-15. Brashear wasn't able to keep pace in the second half as Scotland County pulled away for a 49-34 win. Lacey Fisher had 22 points for Brashear, Maddie Moots had 4, Cassidy Altide had 2, Taylor Garlock had 2, Heidi Lay had 2, and Paige Stutzman scored 2. The Brashear boys also trailed in the first half, with Scotland County holding a 30-28 lead at halftime. Brashear had a strong second half as they pulled away from the Scotland County Tigers for a 77-62 win. Carson Irwin scored 20 points for Brashear, Jack Reeves had 14, Cole Irwin had 10, Avery Zentz had 10, Lucas Keller had 8, Dayton White had 7, Landon Fisher had 4, Alex Houghton had 2, and Caden Taylor had 2 points. This past week was homecoming week at BHS. Along with dress-up days and poster contests, the new homecoming king and queen and prince and princess were crowned by last year's king and queen Brandon Jochimson and Kenley White at Friday night's homecoming game. This year's king and queen were Landon Fisher and Lacey Fisher. The prince and princess were Kate Irwin and Ava Salter. The Brashear girls visited Knox County Thursday. Brashear took a 9-6 lead after one quarter and maintained a lead all the way to the fourth quarter. Knox County rallied to take the lead, and it was anyone's game in the last minute when Brashear retook the lead for a 40-38 win. Lacey Fisher had 17 points, Cassidy Altite had 7, Paige Stutzman had 7, Aubrey Borgmeyer had 3, Heidi Lay had 3, Taylor Garlock had 2, and Maddie Moots had 1 point. The Tiger boys were on the road at Knox County Thursday. Brashear fell behind early and trailed 15-5 after one quarter and 32-24 at halftime. Things only got worse for Brashear in the second half until a late rally allowed Brashear to close the gap to 11 in a 66-55 loss. Carson Irwin scored 20 points for Brashear, Cole Irwin had 11, Jack Reeves had 10, Avery Zentz had 5, Alex Houghton had 4, Lucas Keller had 2, Landon Fisher had 2, and Dayton White had 1. The Lady Tigers hosted Madison Friday night for homecoming. Brashear took a 16-10 lead after one quarter and maintained a small lead until the fourth quarter, where they pulled away for a 30-20 win. Lacey Fisher had 14 for Brashear, Paige Stutzman had 6, Maddie Moots had 4, Cassidy Altite had 2, Taylor Garlock had 2, and Aubrey Borgmeyer had 2. In the boys' homecoming game Friday, Brashear wasted no time running up a 34-11 lead after one quarter and were up 51-25 at halftime. Brashear never looked back as they went on to notch an 83-45 win. Carson Irwin set a new Brashear single-game record with 11 three-pointers for a total of 41 points. Jack Reeves had 13, Avery Zentz had 8, Dayton White had 4, Landon Fisher had 4, Alex Houghton had 3, Caden Taylor had 3, Noah Shannon had 3, Lucas Keller had 2, and Cole Irwin had 2 points. The Brashear Lady Tigers faced the Kirksville JV team in the first round of the Brashear tournament Monday. Kirksville took an early lead and were up 21-17 at halftime. Brashear fought back and tied the game 27-all after 3 quarters, then played a strong fourth quarter to claim a 40-33 win. Lacey Fisher had 18 points, Aubrey Borgmeyer had 11, Heidi Lay had 9, and Maddie Moots had 2 points. The Brashear boys faced off with Marion County in first-round action at the Brashear tournament Tuesday. The Tigers got off to a quick start and were up 33-22 at halftime. Marion County tried to close the gap in the second half, but Brashear held on for a 71-58 win. Carson Irwin had 28 points for Brashear, Cole Irwin had 14, Jack Reeves had 13, Lucas Keller had 12, Alex Houghton had 2, and Avery Zentz had 2 points. This past Tuesday, Brashear held their Teacher Appreciation Night at the Paris Games. Each basketball player and cheerleader selected a teacher to be introduced and honored between games. The Brashear boys faced the Knights in the championship semifinal game on Thursday. The game was closely contested throughout, with numerous lead changes. The Knights had a 1-point lead with a minute left and Brashear was forced to foul. The Knights went 8 for 8 from the free throw line to seal a 58-54 victory. Lucas Keller had 18 for Brashear, Cole Irwin had 14, Avery Zentz had 8, Alex Houghton had 5, Jack Reeves had 4, Dayton White had 4, and Landon Fisher had 1 point. The Lady Tigers faced Nottinger Thursday in the championship semifinals of the Brashear tournament. Nottinger took an early 15-6 lead after one quarter and were up 25-14 at halftime. Brashear tried to cut into Nottinger's lead in the second half, but were unable to catch up as Nottinger claimed a 47-39 win. Aubrey Borgmeyer had 14 points, Lacey Fisher had 12, Cassidy Altide had 5, Paige Stutzman had 4, Taylor Garlock had 2, and Heidi Lay had 2 points. The Lady Tigers faced the North Missouri Knights in the third-place game at the Brashear tournament Saturday. The Knights had taken a 20-14 lead by halftime, but Brashear rallied in the third to lead 29-26. Brashear couldn't hold off a fourth-quarter surge by the Knights and fell by a score of 42-38. Lacey Fisher scored 17 points for Brashear. Aubrey Borgmeyer had 9, Maddie Moots had 5, Heidi Lay had 3, Cassidy Altide had 2, and Taylor Garlock had 2 points. Brashear played Nottinger in the third-place game at the Brashear tournament Saturday. The game was a close one, with Brashear trailing 39-38 at halftime. Things got better for Brashear in the second half as they took the lead and held on for a 74-69 win to claim the third-place trophy. Carson Irwin scored 35 points, Cole Irwin had 15, Lucas Keller had 9, Jack Reeves had 8, Dayton White had 2, Avery Zentz had 2, Landon Fisher had 2, and Alex Houghton had 1 point. During the game, Carson Irwin scored his 1,000th point of his career. The Lady Tigers hosted Paris Tuesday. The game was close in the early going, but Paris had taken a 23-17 lead by halftime. Brashear managed only 3 points in the third quarter and couldn't catch up, losing by a score of 37-28. Lacey Fisher had 11 points, Aubrey Borgmeyer had 8, Paige Stutzman 3 points, Cassidy Altide had 2, Maddie Moots had 2, and Heidi Lay had 2 points. In the boys' game with Paris Tuesday, the Tigers had taken a 32-25 lead by halftime. Brashear continued to lead in the second half, but had to fight off a late rally to preserve a 66-61 win. Carson Irwin had 18, Cole Irwin had 12, Avery Zentz had 12, Lucas Keller had 8, Alex Houghton had 6, Jack Reeves had 5, Clancy No had 2, Landon Fisher had 2, and Dayton White had 1 point. Congratulations to Carson Irwin for being named KIRX Athlete of the Week. Carson recently hit 11 three-pointers in a single game where he scored 41 points. Carson also reached his 1,000th career point. Congratulations to our softball team for being named Academic All-State. Players who received individual honors include Lacey Fisher, Alexa Borgmeyer, Aubrey Borgmeyer, Heidi Lay, and Maddie Moots. The Lady Tigers were at Nottinger Friday for the last regular season game of the year. Nottinger got the upper hand early on and led 34-23 at halftime. Brashear closed the gap to 38-33 after 3 quarters, but a strong fourth quarter propelled Nottinger to a 64-42 win. Lacey Fisher had 18 points, Paige Stutzman had 15, Aubrey Borgmeyer had 4, Maddie Moots had 4, and Heidi Lay had 1 point. In the Brashear boys' final regular season game, the Tigers fell behind Nottinger 18-8 after 1 quarter. The Tigers rallied to tie the score at 28-28 at halftime. The game stayed close in the second half until Brashear pulled away late for a 58-48 win. Carson Irwin scored 32 points for Brashear, Jack Reeves had 7, Cole Irwin had 7, Lucas Keller had 4, Alex Houghton had 4, and Avery Zentz had 2 points. The Brashear boys faced La Plata in the first round of districts Monday night. The game was close in the first half, but Brashear managed to go into halftime with a 28-22 lead. Brashear extended the lead to as much as 15 points in the second half before La Plata came charging back, but the La Plata rally failed as Brashear advanced with a 57-49 win. Carson Irwin had 25 points for Brashear, Cole Irwin had 14, Lucas Keller had 10, Jack Reeves had 6, and Avery Zentz had 2. The Brashear Lady Tigers faced La Plata Tuesday in the first round of districts. Brashear took charge early and had built a 26-18 lead by halftime. La Plata came out of the halftime fired up and closed the gap to 36-35 at the end of the third quarter. It was a tough battle in the fourth quarter, but La Plata finally prevailed 52-49. Lacey Fisher scored 22 points for Brashear, Cassidy Altide had 10, Aubrey Borkmeyer had 8, Paige Stutzman had 4, Heidi Lay had 3, and Maddie Moots had 2. The Brashear boys took on North Shelby in the Class 1 District 11 semifinals Wednesday. Brashear took an early lead and were up 36-24 at halftime. North Shelby wasn't ready to go away and closed the lead to 48-42 by the end of the third quarter. The game was close all through the fourth quarter, but Brashear hung on to advance to the district championship game 67-62. Carson Irwin scored 31 points for Brashear, Lucas Keller had 17, Cole Irwin had 10, Jack Reeves had 7, and Avery Zentz had 2 points. Last Friday was Health Screening Day. All students from kindergarten through seniors received a checkup. BHS kicked off Reading Week with a visit from Brashear graduate Brianne Turner from the Adair County Public Library. An evening in education was also held along with other Reading Week activities. Academic Bowl season is now here. Brashear hosted meets Tuesday and Thursday of this week. The junior high team had a win over Lynn County but suffered losses to Green City, Novinger, and La Plata. The high school is a perfect 4-0 with wins over Green City, Lynn County, Novinger, and La Plata. A pep rally was held Friday to give the Brashear boys basketball team a proper send-off for their game against Atlanta for the district championship. Along with introductions of the team and cheers by the cheerleaders, a number of well-wishers lined the streets as the team bus headed out of the town for the game. The Brashear and Atlanta boys squared off in the Class 1 District 11 championship game Friday at La Plata. Atlanta jumped out to an early 8-0 lead, and Brashear trailed by 9, 32-23 at halftime. Atlanta came out hot after the intermission and pushed their lead to 53-33 after 3 quarters. Brashear couldn't close the gap and had their season end with a 70-50 loss and a second-place finish in districts. Jack Reeves scored 14 points for Brashear, Cole Irwin had 13, Carson Irwin had 10, Avery Zentz had 7, and Lucas Keller scored 6 points. This Tuesday, the Keller Building in downtown Brashear was buzzing with activity. BHS was sponsoring a Red Cross blood drive, one of several held throughout the year. Not only is it a public service, but sponsoring blood drives also helps provide scholarship opportunities for seniors at BHS. A tornado drill was held Tuesday in conjunction with the Missouri statewide tornado drill. Students filed into the locker rooms and waited for the all-clear signal. This is one of a series of drills throughout the year to ensure student safety. On Tuesday, the Tri-County Conference Choir and Band were on tour. After auditioning and practicing over the weekend, the groups are ready to perform at La Plata, Atlanta, and Bevier. Musicians from Brashear were Landon Fisher, Caden Taylor, and Noah Shannon. On Thursday this week, members of the Brashear Future Business Leaders of America got to experience a real treat. The group boarded buses and headed to St. Louis to see a performance of To Kill a Mockingbird at the historic Fox Theater. The Academic Bowl teams were in action Wednesday as they took on Atlanta and Bevier at Bevier. The junior high split with a win over Atlanta and a loss to Bevier. The high school continued their winning ways with wins over Atlanta and Bevier.
The Tri-County Conference recently released their basketball all-conference teams. Congratulations to Lacey Fisher and Carson Irwin for second team honors, Cole Irwin for honorable mention, and Maddie Moots and Jack Reeves for all-conference defensive teams. Lacey, Carson, and Cole were also named to the all-district team. The Academic Bowl teams were in action Thursday at Macon County for their final regular season games. The junior high team got a win over Meadville but fell to Buckland-Macon County, while the high school team completed a perfect 8-0 season with wins over BMC and Meadville. Now that basketball season is over, BHS athletes have turned their attention to spring sports. The track and baseball teams have been practicing to get ready for their first events. Track starts Monday in Kirksville, and baseball starts Tuesday with a game at Milan. On Wednesday, members of the Brashear chapter of the National Honor Society made their annual spring trip to the New Theater restaurant in Kansas City. After a buffet dinner, the group got to see a performance of the comedy play Condominium. The Brashear Academic Bowl teams were in action Saturday at the conference tournament. The junior high team suffered a first-round loss to Novinger, then bounced back with a win over Lynn County before being eliminated by a loss to Buckland-Macon County. The high school team came into the tournament as the number 1 seed and claimed wins over Atlanta, Novinger, Buckland-Macon County, and Lynn County to complete a 12-0 season as conference tournament champs. Landon Fisher was named tournament MVP for answering the most questions. The Tri-County Conference Art Show was also held on Saturday. Aubrey Borgmeyer had a second and 2 third places, and Ethan Mason and Aubrey also had honorable mentions. The BHS track team had their first meet Monday at Kirksville. First place finishers included Aubrey Borgmeyer in javelin, Alex Houghton in the 400 meter, and the 4x400 meter relay team. Other top 10 finishers included Alexa Borgmeyer, 4th in the 400 meter, Kaylee Sizemore, 6th in the 1600 meter. The 4x100 meter thrower relay team took 3rd. Maddie Moot 6th in triple jump, Kaylee Sizemore 9th in triple jump, Marissa McMahon 7th in discus, Anthony Shaw 6th in the 400 meter, Clancy No 8th in the 800 meter, Jacob Snyder 9th in the 1600 meter, Aiden Carpenter 6th in the 110 meter hurdles. The 4x800 meter relay took 3rd, Nate Triplett 10th in discus and 2nd in shot, and Landon Fisher 3rd in javelin.
The Brashear track teams were in La Plata Monday, where the junior high girls took 6th, junior high boys took 4th, high school girls took 6th, and high school boys took 5th. Track meet Monday. For the high school, in girls, 200 meter dash, Maddie Moots took 5th and Marissa McMahon took 9th. In the 300 hurdles, Aubrey Borkmeyer took 6th and Maddie Moots took 7th. In long jump, Maddie Moots took 7th. Triple jump, Maddie Moots took 5th. In discus, Marissa McMahon took 4th. In javelin, Aubrey Borgmeyer finished 1st and Marissa McMahon finished 11th. In boys events, in the 100 meter dash, Landon Fisher took 8th. Aiden Carpenter took 12th. In the 400, Anthony Shaw took 2nd. In the 800, Jacob Snyder took 3rd. In the 110 hurdles, Aiden Carpenter took 4th. In the 300 hurdles, Aiden Carpenter took 3rd. In the 4x200 meter relay, we took 3rd. Caden Taylor took 6th in high jump. In long jump, Landon Fisher took 8th and Caden Taylor took 12th. In discus, Nate Triplett took 1st. Javelin, Landon Fisher took 1st. And in shot put, Nate Triplett took 2nd.
First ball, high school boys pole vault.
Girls at La Plata. In the 100 meter dash, Kennedy Gray took 9th and Aubrey Newland took 10th. 200 meter, Kennedy Gray took 9th and Elise Salter took 11th. In the 400, Audrey Irwin took 3rd. In the 800, Audrey Irwin took 4th. In the 100 hurdles, Audrey Irwin took 4th. Long jump, Audrey Irwin took 6th. Discus, Kennedy Gray took 6th. In shot, Kennedy Gray took 7th. Maddie Mayfield took 12th, and Aubrey Newland took 13th. For the boys, in the 100, Gus No took 12th, and Corwin Norton took 13th. In the 200, Corwin Norton took 10th. In the 400, Tegan Gorman took 7th, and Gus No took 8th. In the 800, Braden Peterson took 7th. In the 1600, Kate Irwin took 2nd. Tegan Gorman took 3rd. Caden Gorman took 5th. In the 100 hurdles, Corwin Norton took 8th. 4x400 meter relay team took 1st. In high jump, Kate Irwin took 6th. Long jump, Caden Gorman took 4th. Tegan Gorman took 10th, and Braden Peterson took 12th. In discus, Gus No was 8th. Caden McMahon was 9th. Braden Peterson was 10th. Landon Shannon was 13th. And in shot put, Braden Peterson took 7th. Caden McMahon took 9th, and Landon Shannon took 10th. The school track team was at Knox County Tuesday, where the girls placed 9th and the boys placed 8th. Marissa McMahon came in 11th in the 200 meter, 10th in discus, and 12th in javelin. Kaylee Troyer took 8th in the 800 meter, 5th in the 1600 meter, and 9th in triple jump. Maddie Moots took 6th in the 300 hurdles, 6th in the long jump, and 4th in triple jump. Aubrey Borkmeyer took 8th in the 300 hurdles and 2nd in javelin. For the boys, Anthony Shaw took 7th in the 100 meters and 3rd in the 400. Caden Taylor took 10th in the 200 and 10th in the long jump. Jacob Snyder took 11th in the 800 and 10th in the 3200. Aiden Carpenter took 6th in the 110 hurdles and 8th in the 300 hurdles. The 4x200 meter relay team took 4th. Landon Fisher took 5th in long jump and 1st in javelin. Nate Triplett took 5th in shot and 4th in discus. The Brashear baseball team finally took the field Monday at Marceline. Brashear used the long ball in the early going as Jack Reeves homered in the first and the third innings to give Brashear a 5-0 lead. Marceline got on the scoreboard in the bottom of the third to close the gap to 5-2, but Brashear used some small ball in the fifth to maintain their lead and claim an 11-6 win. Carson Irwin got the start with Jack Reeves, Cole Irwin, and Avery Zintz pitching in relief. The baseball team hosted Lynn County in their season home opener Tuesday. Jack Reeves took the mound and retired the first three batters, then Carson Irwin hit a 3-run homer to give Brashear a 3-0 lead after one inning. Rhett Whitlow would later add another home run as Brashear took a 12-8 win. Jack Reeves got the start with John Higgins and Alex Houghton pitching in relief. Parade was held Friday to honor those students going to the district music contest on Saturday. Landon Fisher qualified for state with 1 ratings in vocals and saxophone. Caden Taylor got a 3 rating in trombone, Avery Smith got a 3 rating in percussion, and Noah Shannon got a 2 rating in saxophone. The Brashear High School track teams were in La Plata Monday, where the girls took 12th and the boys took 4th. For the girls, Maddie Moots was 10th in triple jump, Marissa McMahon took 12th in discus, 17th in javelin, 20th in the 200 meter. Aubrey Borgmeyer took 2nd in javelin, 14th in the 400 meter. Alexa Borgmeyer took 13th in the 400 meter. For the boys, Landon Fisher took 6th in long jump and 1st in javelin. Caden Taylor took 15th in long jump, 14th in the 200 meter. Nate Triplett took 1st in discus and 1st in shot. The 4x800 meter relay team took 2nd. Hayden Carpenter took 7th in the 110 hurdles, 17th in the 100 meters, and 5th in the 300 meter hurdles. Anthony Shaw took 13th in the 100 meter and 5th in the 400 meter. The 4x2 relay team took 4th. Jacob Snyder took 6th in the 1600 meter and 8th in the 800 meter. Riley Whitlow took 16th in the 1600 meter and 6th in the 300 hurdles. Alex Houghton took 2nd in the 400 meter. Clancy No took 9th in the 800 meter. Jacob Love took 13th in the 200 meter, and the 4x400 relay team took 3rd. The junior high track teams both took 6th place at the Knox County meet Wednesday. For the girls, Kennedy Gray had 11th in the 100 meter, 8th in the 200 meter, 9th in shot, and 9th in discus. Aubrey Newland took 12th in the 100 meter and 13th in shot. Elise Salter took 11th in the 200 meter and 13th in long jump. Audrey Irwin took 2nd in the 800 meter, 5th in the 100 hurdles, and 5th in long jump. And Maddie Mayfield took 11th in discus. For the boys, Gus No took 10th in the 100 meter. Corwin Norton took 12th in the 100 meter and 9th in the 200 meter. Tagon Gorman took 6th in the 400 meter and 12th in long jump. Braden Peterson took 11th in the 800 meter and 12th in shot. Kate Irwin took 4th in the 1600 meter, 8th in the high jump. Caden Gorman took 10th in the 1600 meters and 9th in long jump. The 4x400 relay team took 5th. Caden McMahon took 10th in shot and 10th in discus. And Landon Shannon took 13th in discus. Brashear hosted Princeton for some Tuesday night baseball. Princeton got on the scoreboard first with a run in the top of the first inning, but Brashear answered with a pair of runs in the bottom of the frame. Princeton retook the lead in the second and held the lead until Brashear scored 4 in the fifth and 3 in the sixth to pick up an 11-6 win. Avery Zintz homered for Brashear. Jack Reeves got the start for Brashear with Cole Irwin pitching in relief. The Tigers hosted Knox County on Tuesday night. Knox County wasted no time getting on the scoreboard as they used a pair of first-inning home runs to take a 3-0 lead. Brashear managed to close the gap with a pair of runs in the bottom of the first, but Knox County kept swinging the hot bats as they pulled away for a 14-3 win. Avery Zentz got the start for Brashear, with Alex Houghton pitching in relief. Landon Fisher was named the KIRX Athlete of the Week this week. Landon recently broke the school record for javelin and was being honored for that accomplishment. The Brashear High School track team was at Scotland County last Thursday, where the girls took fourth and the boys took second. Aubrey Borgmeyer took second in javelin and fifth in the 400 meter. Marissa McMahon took sixth in javelin, seventh in discus, eighth in the 200 meter. Kaylee Sizemore took fourth in triple jump, fourth in the 1600 meter, and fourth in the 800 meter. Alexa Borgmeyer took third in the 400 meter. Landon Fisher took first in javelin. Nate Triplett took second in discus and third in shot. Caden Taylor took first in high jump and seventh in the 200 meter. The 4x800 meter relay team took second. Aiden Carpenter took second in the 110 meter hurdles and ninth in the 100 meter and second in the 300 meter hurdles. The 4x200 relay team took second. Jacob Snyder took fourth in the 1600 meter and fourth in the 800 meter. Riley Withrow took ninth in the 1600 meter and third in the 300 meter hurdles. Alex Houghton took first in the 400 meter. Carson Irwin took second in the 400 meter. Jacob Love took ninth in the 200 meter. And the 4x800 meter relay team took second. At the La Plata Junior High track meet Monday, our girls took 12th. Audrey Irwin took 5th in long jump, 11th in the 100 meter hurdles, 4th in the 400 meter, 3rd in the 800 meter. Elise Salter took 17th in long jump and 18th in the 200 meter. Kennedy Gray took 8th in discus, 13th in shot, 15th in the 100 meter, and 16th in the 200 meter. Maddie Mayfield took 21st in discus, and Aubrey Newland took 22nd in shot and 18th in the 100 meters. The boys team took 9th. Cade Irwin took 6th in high jump and 3rd in the 1600 meter. Caden Gorman took 15th in long jump, 8th in the 800 meter. Tagon Gorman took 20th in the long jump and 5th in the 1600 meter. Gus Snow took 20th in discus, 15th in the 400 meter. Landon Shannon took 22nd in discus and 22nd in the 100 meter. Caden McMahon took 18th in shot and 20th in the 200 meter. Braden Peterson took 20th in shot and 12th in the 800 meter. Corwin Norton took 20th in the 100 and 19th in the 200 meter. And the 4x400 meter relay team took 5th. At the Atlanta track meet Wednesday, the high school girls took 7th and the high school boys took 2nd. Marissa McMahon took 11th in the 200 meter, 11th in discus, and 8th in javelin. Alexa Borgmeyer took 4th in the 400 meter. Aubrey Borgmeyer took 5th in the 400 meter and 1st in javelin. Kaylee Sizemore took 6th in the 800 meter, 2nd in the 1600 meter, and 9th in triple jump. Anthony Shaw took 6th in the 100 meter. Aiden Carpenter took 14th in the 100 meter, 3rd in 110 meter hurdles, and 3rd in the 300 hurdles. Caden Taylor took 10th in the 200 meter and 11th in long jump. Jacob Love took 12th in the 200 meter. Alex Houghton took 1st in the 400 meter. Carson Irwin took 3rd in the 400 meter. Clancy No took 5th in the 800 meter. Jacob Snyder took 7th in the 800 meter, 4th in the 1600 meter, and 3rd in the 3200 meter. Riley Whitlow took 11th in the 1600 meter and 5th in the 300 meter hurdles. The 4x2 relay took 5th. The 4x4 relay took 1st. The 4x8 relay took 2nd. Cole Irvin took 8th in high jump. Landon Fisher took 12th in long jump and 2nd in javelin. And Nate Triplett took 1st in shot and 1st in discus. The Brashear baseball team was on the road at Canton Tuesday night. Brashear bats were silent in the first 2 innings, but Brashear managed a run in the third and another in the fourth to trail 11-2. Brashear started to find their groove as they scored 5 in the fifth, 4 in the sixth, and 2 in the seventh, but still fell short as they lost to Canton 15-13. Cole Irwin got the start for Brashear with Avery Zentz, Alex Houghton, Rhett Whitlow, and Jack Reeves pitching in relief. The Brashear baseball team hit the road to Green City Thursday. Things didn't go well for the Tiger offense as they managed only 1 run while hitting into 2 double plays and having a runner picked off. Meanwhile, the Green City offense was rolling as they posted 16 runs for a 16-1 4-inning win. Avery Zentz got the start with Rhett Whitlow pitching in relief. The BHS Academic Bowl team competed at districts Saturday. They got wins over BMC, Pilot Grove, Northwestern, and Atlanta before falling to North Shelby for a second-place finish in districts. The team had a season record of 16-1. This past Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, 19 members of the Brashear FBLA were competing at the state FBLA convention. 3 BHS students had top 10 finishes. Congratulations to Lacey Fisher, 10th in accounting, Carson Irwin, 6th in accounting, and Avery Zentz, 4th in business calculations. Avery has qualified to compete at nationals in Atlanta, Georgia this summer. The junior high track team was at Schuyler County Friday. Top finishers included Audrey Irwin, 4th in the 400, 5th in the 800, 7th in the long jump, Kennedy Gray, 2nd in discus and 8th in the shot put. The relay team, 4x400, took 5th. Cade Irwin took 3rd in the 1600 and 7th in the high jump. Meanwhile, on Friday, the high school track team was competing in Kirksville, where the top finishers were Alexa Borgmeyer, 8th in the 400, Aubrey Borgmeyer, 1st in javelin, Kaylee Troyer, 8th in the 800. The 4x200 relay team took 6th. Aiden Carpenter took 5th in the 110-meter hurdles and 8th in the 300-meter hurdles. Landon Fisher took 5th in the javelin. Anthony Shaw took 2nd in the 400-meter. Jacob Snyder took 6th in the 1600-meter and 8th in the 800-meter. And Nate Triplett finished 2nd in discus and 2nd in shot. The Brashear High School track team was at Truman State University Tuesday for a track meet. Top finishers included Alexa Borgmeyer, 7th in the 400, Aubrey Borgmeyer, 2nd in javelin, Alex Houghton, 1st in 400-meter, Carson Irwin, 5th in the 400-meter, Cole Irwin, 6th in the 800-meter, Anthony Shaw, 6th in the 400-meter, Nate Triplett, 3rd in discus, 3rd in shot, and Riley Whitlow, 7th in the 300-meter hurdles. The Brashear High School track team was at Milan Wednesday, where the girls took 8th and the boys took 6th. Top finishers include Alexa Borgmeyer, 4th in the 100 and 2nd in the 400, Aubrey Borgmeyer, 5th in the 400 and 1st in javelin, Anthony Shaw, 4th in the 400, Alex Houghton, 1st in the 400, Carson Irwin, 3rd in the 400, Cole Irwin, 6th in the 800, Jacob Snyder, 8th in the 1600 and 4th in the 3200. The 4x400 relay team took 2nd. Landon Fisher took 8th in triple jump and 1st in javelin. Nate Triplett took 1st in shot and 3rd in discus. The baseball Tigers were home Friday night to host Higbee. Higbee scored in each of the first 4 innings to take a 9-0 lead before Brashear got on the board with a run in the 6th. That was all of the scoring for Brashear as the Tigers fell to Higbee by a final score of 10-1. Jack Reeves got the start for Brashear, with Cole Irwin pitching in relief. Last Thursday was the annual Spring Concert and Art and Industrial Arts Show. Various singing and dancing groups performed along with the beginning band, high school band, and soloists. The art department and the industrial arts department had projects on display in the elementary gym. The industrial arts projects included 18 that qualified for state competition. The conference track meet was held Monday, April 24th at La Plata. For the junior high, the girls took 9th and the boys took 8th. Elise Salter took 15th in long jump. Audrey Irwin took 6th in triple jump, 7th in the 100-meter hurdles. Kennedy Gray took 4th in discus, 8th in shot, and 12th in the 200-meter. Maddie Mayfield took 15th in discus, and Aubrey Newland took 15th in shot. Caden Gorman took 12th in long jump, 7th in the 1600-meter, and 5th in the 800-meter. Braden Peterson took 14th in long jumps, 13th in shot, and 11th in the 800-meter. Corwin Norton took 14th in the triple jump, 15th in the 100-meter, and 15th in the 200-meter. Gus No took 13th in discus and 9th in the 400-meter. Landon Shannon took 16th in discus. Caden McMahon took 12th in shot, 16th in the 200. And Tagon Gorman took 2nd in the 1600-meter and 6th in the 400-meter. For the high school, the girls took 8th and the boys took 3rd place. Alexa Borgmeyer took 8th in the 200-meter and 4th in the 400-meter. Aubrey Borgmeyer took 6th in the 400-meter and 1st in javelin. Marissa McMahon took 14th in the 200-meter, 15th in discus, 6th in javelin, and 11th in shot put. Kaylee Troyer took 7th in triple jump. For the boys, the relay team, the 4x100 took 5th, the 4x200 took 5th, the 4x400 took 1st, and the 4x800 took 2nd. Aiden Carpenter took 6th in the 110-meter hurdles and 6th in the 300-meter hurdles. Alex Houghton took 2nd in the 200-meter and 1st in the 400-meter. Carson Irwin took 5th in the 3200-meter and 4th in the 400-meter. Cole Irwin took 4th in the 800-meter and 5th in high jump. Landon Fisher took 2nd in javelin, 5th in long jump, and 5th in triple jump. Clancy No took 10th in the 1600-meter and 7th in the 800-meter. Anthony Shaw took 8th in the 100-meter and 8th in the 200-meter. Jacob Snyder took 7th in the 1600-meter and 3rd in the 3200-meter. Caden Taylor took 16th in the 100-meter dash and 13th in the long jump. Nate Triplett took 1st in discus and 1st in shot. Riley Whitlow took 9th in the 110-meter hurdles and 9th in the 300-meter hurdles.
Listening to people do that.
He's griped at least 15 times today.
Yes.
Random stuff.
Yes.
The Brashear baseball team hosted Sturgeon Tuesday night. Sturgeon got on the scoreboard with a pair of runs in the top of the first, but Brashear also scored 2 runs in the first and another pair of runs in the second to lead 4-2. Brashear broke the game open in the fourth when Alex Houghton hit a 3-run homer, and Brashear went on to win 13-3. Cole Irwin had a strong start, going 4 1/3 innings and striking out 11. Jack Reeves came in relief to get the last 2 out. Saturday was prom night at BHS. The evening started in the gym for Grand March, then proceeded to the country club for prom and back to school for after prom. This year's king and queen were Avery Zentz and Colby Mason. Congratulations to Landon Fisher, who performed at the State Music Festival Friday. Landon took bronze on his saxophone solo and silver on his vocal solo. On Wednesday, BHS sponsored another blood drive here in the school gym. Blood donations help provide scholarships to graduating seniors as well as providing a valuable community service. Wednesday night, students at the Brashear Elementary School got a chance to show off the bear books that they have been preparing. Students also had a wax museum and had displays depicting famous Missourians. An assembly was held Wednesday morning as the Milan Honor Choir came to perform several musical numbers. The Tiger baseball team was on the road at Marion County Friday. Marion County scored twice in the top of the first to take a 2-0 lead, but Brashear fought their way back to a 5-2 lead at the end of 4 innings. Marion County tied the game in the 5th and went on to win by a final score of 9-8. Avery Zentz homered for Brashear. Jack Reeves got the start with Avery Zentz and Alex Houghton pitching in relief. The Brashear baseball team hosted Nobbinger Tuesday night. Both teams scored a run in the first, but the real fireworks started in the bottom of the third, with Brashear scoring 10 times to take an 11-2 lead. Carson Irwin and Cole Irwin both homered in the third, and Carson Irwin homered again in the 5th for a 14-3 walk-off win. Carson Irwin had 2 home runs, a triple with 5 RBIs. Cole Irwin had a home run, a double, and a single. Jack Reeves had an RBI. Jake Holcomb and Lucas Keller both had doubles and 2 RBIs, and John Higgins had a double and an RBI. Cole Irwin got the start with John Higgins pitching in relief. Last Friday was DARE graduation day for our 5th and 6th grade students. DARE stands for Drug Abuse Resistance Education. These classes are taught by Officer Broadwell from the Kirksville Police Department. Wednesday afternoon, an assembly was held for Senior Decision Day. Each of our graduating seniors got their chance to take the microphone and give a short presentation about themselves, their accomplishments, and their future plans. Thursday night was the annual awards banquet. Following a carry-in meal, students who took part in athletics and other extracurricular activities were recognized for their accomplishments. With the rain out of our last home game Monday, the baseball senior night ceremonies were moved to Tuesday night. Alex Houghton, Lucas Keller, and Avery Zentz were introduced to the crowd and presented with gifts from their teammates. Congratulations to the following track athletes who qualified for sectionals last Saturday at districts. Aubrey Borgmeyer took 2nd in javelin. The boys 4x400 relay team took 4th. Landon Fisher took 4th in javelin. Alex Houghton took 2nd in the 200 and 3rd in the 400 meter. And Nate Triplett took 1st in discus and 1st in shot. Good luck at sectionals. The Tiger baseball squad visited Putnam County Friday night. Brashear wasted no time putting 3 runs on the scoreboard in the top of the first, but Putnam County answered with a run in the first and 5 more in the second to take a 6-3 lead. Brashear couldn't get any more offense going and eventually lost by a final score of 8-3. John Higgins had 2 hits for Brashear, with Jack Reeves, Alex Houghton, Lucas Keller, and Carson Irwin also having hits. Jack Reeves and Cole Irwin pitched for Brashear. The Tiger baseball team got to try out the new artificial turf field at Schuyler County Tuesday. Schuyler took a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the first, then added another run in the bottom of the fifth. Brashear finally broke through to get on the scoreboard when Cole Irwin and Carson Irwin had back-to-back hits to score a run. Schuyler County went on to add 2 more runs to claim a 4-1 win. Alex Houghton got the start for Brashear with Avery Zentz pitching in relief. Next up for the Tigers is district play, where they will face Atlanta. Congratulations to the following state champions from the State Industrial Arts Contest: Elise Salter, billfold; Caden Hedinger, billfold; Jacob Love, cut record; Lana Bansickle, cut record; Gus No, billfold and cross; Madison Moots, cut record and goat; Corey Holcomb, fish and cow face; and Clancy No, turkey. On Thursday night, 11 members of the 6th grade class, along with family and friends, gathered in the gym for the 6th grade promotion ceremonies. Songs were performed by the 6th graders, and several of them spoke to the crowd before Mr. Cody Moore presented graduation certificates to each. On Sunday afternoon, the gym was full of well-wishers who had come to see the Brashear graduating class of 2023 receive their diplomas. After guest speaker Tammy Walter gave the address, seniors were presented with diplomas and awards. This year's valedictorian and salutatorian were Wesley McGinnis and Avery Zent. On Monday, members of the Brashear Shout Club headed to Herdland for a public service project. The members worked in the city park area where the Herdland 4th of July celebration is held. The group mulched trees, painted picnic tables and the bandstand, and even worked on cleaning out grader ditches and reseeding them. The end-of-year school field day was held Tuesday at BHS. First up was locker cleanouts and turning in Chromebooks for the summer. Then the fun activities began with indoor activities such as glow stick dodgeball and Hungry Hippo games, then proceeded outdoors for kickball, wiffle ball, cornhole, foursquare, and other activities. Track sectionals were held at Shelbine on May 13th. Congratulations to the following track athletes who are advancing from sectionals to state track: Aubrey Borgmeyer in javelin, Nate Triplett in shot and discus, Alex Houghton in the 400 meter, and the 4x400 meter relay team of Anthony Shaw, Cole Irwin, Carson Irwin, and Alex Houghton. The Brashear baseball team faced Atlanta in the first round of district play Friday night. The Tigers were visitors on the scoreboard and quickly went to work scoring a pair of runs in the top of the first. Brashear bats stayed hot as they scored 4 more in the second to take a 6-0 lead. Atlanta answered with 3 in the third, 3 in the fifth, and 2 in the sixth, while the Brashear bats fell silent, giving Atlanta an 8-6 win. Jack Reeves had a double for Brashear, Cole Irwin had a single and 2 RBIs, Carson Irwin had a double and an RBI, John Higgins had a single and an RBI, and Lucas Keller had a single. Jack Reeves got the start, striking out 4, with Cole Irwin pitching in relief, striking out 6. At the state track meet, Aubrey Borgmeyer took 12th in javelin, Alex Houghton took 12th in the 400 meter, Nate Triplett took 14th in discus and 6th in shot, and the 4x400 meter relay team of Cole Irwin, Carson Irwin, Anthony Shaw, and Alex Houghton took 13th.